here's where your biggest risks hide: leaks, mold, and expensive damage. Most commercial roofs fail slowly until they fail big. Why rip it off when you can restore it? Our silicone coatings stop leaks, prevent mold, and extend your roof life without the high replacement cost. It's a 30-year watertight roof, energy efficient, leak-free, and half the cost of replacement. And it's backed by GE's manufacturer warranties. Facility managers love this. No disruption, no tear off, and long-term protection for your property. Trust Absolute Restoration for your commercial roof.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, welcome into the Room to Room Weather Center here from Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor. Joined alongside me is Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhon. We'll be with him in just a moment. Before we get really started into the show, I want to discuss what we will be discussing. And a lot of that has to do with the heat. Once again, that summer surge back into the forecast. Temperatures continue to climb even warmer than what we had today. What else we're watching is what to expect with the cold front. Not today's cold front, because that was more of a tease. We're talking Friday night into our Saturday, and that could impact some of our football forecast. And speaking of, who's ready for some football? I know I am. NFL season kicks off today, and we have more action for high school sports coming up tomorrow night and then this weekend with college football. But joining us right now is Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhon. He's out and about in the Tupelo area. You know, Matt, what are you feeling out there? I see the sun on your face, so it's got to be a beautiful forecast.
It is. You know, I'm here on the patio at Romy's. We have a get together for some advertisers and some potential advertisers that the good folks at Romy's are putting on for us this evening between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. this evening. And it certainly is kind of a perfect night to be actually out here on the patio. If I get this camera to the right side there to kind of show some of the conditions. Temperature was 90 last hour and coming in at this instant here at around 88. Oh, see, I did it backward. One of these days, Gabe, I'll get that figured out. 88 degrees, and those winds out of the kind of southwesterly direction, about 5 miles per hour. You can feel the breeze, or maybe it's just that fan behind me kind of helping us out as far as that is concerned. Looking at conditions around the region, as you can see there, Mississippi Live Weather Radar showing up with clear conditions where dry. There is that one little pop-up up there around the Corinth area at this point. Not a lot of meaningful moisture from really much, but that is near a frontal boundary that will probably bring us better rain chances later this evening. Yeah, we're going to put that in motion there. Well, actually, I think that one's kind of drifting more toward an easterly direction. Gabe will track that in more detail, come up here in a couple of minutes. But outside of that, we are mainly dry, and that is in contrast to where we will be tomorrow night. We're going to have much more active weather around for some of those Friday night football games, including our Game of the Week location up there at Baldwin and Boonville. We're 90 degrees in Amory, 92 right now in Houston and Bruce. Now, 24 hours from now, we'll probably have some mid-90s out there, maybe even some temperatures close to the triple-digit point. But those heat indices, they're a couple degrees off from that, coming up in the upper 90s at this instant. But most locations still below what we typically have seen recently. Certainly tomorrow will be the anomaly, but this evening is very, very pleasant. We're coming in 83 degrees at 7, 77 is look toward 9, 74 by 11 o'clock under what should be these mostly clear skies. Our winds light out of the south and southwest, and that's despite a front that is moving into the area. That front we'll look at in more detail here in a couple of minutes. But Gabe, again, from now until 8 p.m., we have a get together here at Romy's for the advertisers for Mississippi Live Weather. And of course, looking to still add some of those. And we appreciate all the folks who have been willing to step up and support us to this point. We do apologize to some of those folks out there that have wanted to do that, and we have not been able to help you guys so far. We're trying to work our way through a long list on short staff, but we will get there. We just, again, appreciate the overwhelming support the people of North Mississippi have given us so far in this venture. But Gabe, I'm going to send it back to you so we can continue talking about the forecast. And as you mentioned a moment ago there, it is a big portion of that, the heat for tomorrow, but also the dry weather we've had recently affecting that drought monitor, right?
Oh, for sure. Drought monitor playing a big story in that forecast. And Matt, just have fun out there and make sure to stay hydrated with that heat in the forecast. So we'll see you back here in just a few moments. But yeah, a big thank you to Matt just giving us that live report out in the field. But he mentioned it. Drought monitor, a big part of our story moving into that extended forecast. We have that latest look here in just a moment. But I wanted to first show off rain totals over the last 12 hours. You might notice North Mississippi on the drier end of that spectrum, that front barely missing us and staying on the northern Alabama. I mean, that's as close as we got. I actually want to measure that here real quick out of just my own curiosity. Closest part to our viewing area, about 27 miles away. So that was how close we were to getting at least a drop of rainfall. Unfortunately, just on the outskirts of that. But looking at that latest drought monitor, you can see right here that level 2, that moderate drought monitor getting into the Mississippi Delta, extending there along Highway 6 through Oxford, Pontotoc, even parts of Lee County within that. And that level 1 threat moving into Itawamba County, Monroe County, Clay County. So a lot of areas starting to be affected by that drought more and more. Luckily, I mean, we're not in that level 3 threshold just yet. That's still remaining in eastern Arkansas, but looking at the forecast over the next 7 days, unfortunately, it looks like this is about to get much worse. So hopefully Mother Nature changes that plans and God blesses us with some of that rainfall. But honestly, those chances are not looking good in that extended outlook. But latest outlook at least showcases some of that rainfall in the forecast. We're talking Alcorn County. Look at how this has developed over the last like 5 to 10 minutes or so, starting to increase in strength. But what we're seeing with that cell is that it is already diminishing. We see some of those reds pop up and already a collapsing storm over there towards Kossuth, moving through Biggersville, not going to be nearly the strength as it is, and honestly making it to Glens along Highway 72 seems like a little bit of a stretch, but we're fingers crossed on that forecast as that is our only shower in the area right now. Let me get back and expand this out because I realize that we are way zoomed in. And we're going to actually zoom this out a couple of times to get an overall perspective on this frontal boundary. So as we mentioned, this front bringing a lot of rainfall over there towards the east and up there towards the northeast along the Atlantic. Here in North Mississippi, staying on the drier side because we're just on the outskirts of this front. I mentioned yesterday it's basically a pump fake. Hey, we're using a lot of basketball references tonight, and that is exactly what it was. But the main event, the slam dunk, if you want to call it that, moving through Kansas and Missouri, that bringing us our elevated chances of rainfall. And it is going to be lining up right at the buzzer of those football games tomorrow evening. Okay, I promise I'm done with the basketball references now. But that is going to be as our football games wrap up. This front really kicking in some of that moisture, especially to the northwest side of the state. You already see it inching closer and closer, 9 a.m. into the Little Rock area, and of course extending more eastward into the rest of our Friday. The next 24, starting out on the drier side, and honestly with plenty of sunshine, so all the more reason to get up and around. Hey, it's the end of the work week. We made it one more day, and it's going to be a great start to that end of the week as well. But looking at around 3 p.m., 96 degrees. Heat continues to be the main focal point of that extended forecast. And by 9 p.m., there's your 20% chance of rainfall. I will tell folks, if you live south and east, those rain chances don't apply to you. If you live north and west, that's where we're paying attention to that extended forecast. Of course, walking through those rain chances in more detail coming up in the next 60. We're also going to give you your high school football forecast, your college football forecast, and if you just want to get out and about and play football this evening, we'll have that forecast as well coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 in the next 60.
For more than 100 years, First Choice Bank has provided dedicated community banking to North Mississippi. The banking products and services you need when you need them. At First Choice, you're our priority. Make First Choice your choice for banking.
Your family deserves the most beautiful smile possible. At Tupelo Smiles, we use precision dentistry and advanced technology to make visiting the dentist an amazing experience. Relationship-based comprehensive care. Come discover the difference at Tupelo Smiles.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, aside for some folks there in Alcorn County, the rest of us staying dry for our Thursday as a large part of that moisture carried off there with that cold front into Knoxville, there into Bristol, and then we see all the way up into the D.C. area. That's the best chances of rainfall. Why am I showing you this? Because we were that close to getting some of that rainfall. We were just on the outskirts of that front, and basically all we're getting right now is that one cell over there towards the Corinth area. Zooming it in on that cell, we can kind of get a better idea on what they're experiencing. So allow me to do that here behind the scenes. I'm going to actually have to change this over here real quick to our analysis mode, and I'll be working on this behind the scenes. So bear with me one moment. I want to make sure we track every drop of rainfall because we know how precious those are. As we look over the last 30 minutes or so, we can see how this has basically developed along Highway 2 there towards Crow, should I say, and then now in the Biggersville area, just on the south side of Kasu. So hopefully getting a few drops of rainfall there for our Alcorn County residents. As we look as it's on the east side of Biggersville, as right now, or at least that leading edge, we're going to put a track on that storm, and I'm just going to highlight the heaviest parts. We're going to carry it out about, I would say, 10 to 15 miles an hour on that storm track. Jobs by about 617, Indian Springs 632. We see Glenn's 646. I mentioned to you earlier, that's if it's able to hold together, and it looks like it will at least get a few drops of rainfall there in the Glenn's community. Burnsville School 655, and Burnsville happening about 703. The more movement that this has, the further away it goes, the less likely we are to get at least those drops of rainfall. Expanding this back out on the wider scale, you can see that we're staying dry here in North Mississippi, so not expecting anything in regards to rainfall, or at least significant rainfall in the area. I want to go back to Corinth here real quick to get a good view at that storm. This is looking at the Crossroads Museum, and you can see that we are staying on the drier side there in Corinth. Of course, a lot of that activity further south there towards Biggersville, and so that's where we expect the best rain chances to be, but we just missed out there in the Corinth area. That's the theme of the day, just missing out on that rainfall. Emphasis on the just, because we were so close. 88 degrees though in Corinth, so it is going to be a warmer forecast like we've been experiencing across the region. Corinth, not the exception, but actually the matter of fact to the rule, because we are seeing 90 degrees in Aberdeen. This is really the story for our day. These beautiful blue skies that have highlighted a lot of our sky in North Mississippi. That's one of the ways that you get warm in the forecast, is letting that sunshine reach the surface and just warm our atmosphere up. And that's what happened today, also with that southwesterly wind, that assisting and bringing in some of that Gulf moisture, which is, of course, on the warmer side, but also impacting those feels-like values, bumping those up a few degrees as well. 91 degrees in Greenville. Might as well call you guys Blueville with how those skies are looking. A beautiful sight there, but definitely, I mean, southwesterly winds coming out of the around 10 miles an hour. That's some gusty conditions, so at least helping with those warmer temperatures, but also helping warm up those temperatures. There's a little give and take that you have to take into consideration whenever talking about those winds coming out of the south. Again, a big thank you to our North Mississippi Storm Chasers for adding these cameras and just letting us view those beautiful skies. Macon showing off a great shot of the sunshine there. Looking out west, sunset not too far away, 88 degrees, and those winds still out of the southwest. So no matter where you go, southwesterly winds have been a dominating factor in our forecast. Let me adjust this back into our viewing area here real quick. But yeah, that has been our story today, is just those southwesterly winds, this front not impacting our winds whatsoever, and so that's why they've had no change throughout the day. It is doing a good job on forecasting a few of those pop-up showers, and it does have a few of those showers continuing into the 9 o'clock and the 10 o'clock hour, but you saw how isolated it was there in Alcorn County. That's the expected track of a lot of these showers and storms, so unfortunately for a lot of us, staying on the drier side, and as that new drought monitor shows, we are in desperate need of rainfall. So we'll take anything we can get, but if God wants to bless us and bring us some more showers, we are not going to be upset with that whatsoever. 6 a.m. on your Friday, again, staying on the drier side with plenty of clear skies. So that's going to be a great start to our school day, a great start to the end of our work week. 70 degrees, so a mild start as well with all of that sunshine. 70 degrees Houston, Eupora, 71 Grenada, 71 Clarksdale, upper 60s seen elsewhere. And as we look at that school day forecast, you can see drop off around 69 degrees for the start of our day, 89 around lunch, and 95 towards that last spell. It is going to be toasty. Make sure to pack those water bottles with your kids tomorrow morning because they need to be staying hydrated with the forecast this hot. Looking at that futurecast through your Friday, you do see those clear skies still sticking around the region, but cloud cover as a result of some of that leading moisture on the prefrontal development. That's what we'll be getting in by late morning and early afternoon. That continuing to become more widespread there towards the afternoon. So partly cloudy skies start to move back into the forecast, but there's your chances of rain. And as I move this out just a bit, you can get a better idea on that frontal movement, that of course moving through Jonesboro and Little Rock, inching closer and closer to North Mississippi. And if you are in Northwest Mississippi, you see where I'm going with this forecast, because we're talking about 5, 6 o'clock. We are just outside of Memphis, and football games we know kick off around 7 p.m. So we are going to be right on the outskirts of those rain chances. So hopefully we get those games in before those rain chances really kick in as a result. High temperatures mid to upper 90s, so it is going to be even hotter than what we had today. So those toasty conditions are going to be the rule for all of us. us in North Mississippi, as that moisture doesn't really kick in until later on into the evening. We're seeing 96 Amory, feeling like 100. So those heat indices being added by a little bit of that Mississippi mugginess. We thought we were in the clear. We thought summer had forgotten about us, but don't worry, we're in Mississippi and summer always prevails. That's just what we learned here. But looking at the high school football forecast, this will kind of give you a good idea of what to expect. 93 pregame, 84 by halftime, and 80 by that final snap. That's not what we're watching. We're actually paying attention to this 20% right here, because that's going to be those isolated showers that move back into the forecast, impacting a few of us for our football games. Unless you want to go into 10th, 11th, 12th overtime, well, then it will be impacting you. But I mean, that's more of a rarity than the actuality of what's to happen. So just wrap up those games, football players. We need to get home before the rain hits. This is, again, 8 p.m. on your Friday. Look at how this front starts to move into the Olive Branch area there towards Senatobia, 10 p.m. as those games wrap up. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more of that development there towards Tate and Tunica County. That is going to be the primary area that we watch in that extended forecast for those rain chances. The rest of us, wrapping those games up. So we're not expecting that to impact our forecast. Those storms, of course, moving in overnight, so that will be impacting us overnight. And the potential for at least a few strong thunderstorms is there. That level 1 risk is in effect that we'll be talking about here in just a couple of moments. But that's going to allow some stronger wind gusts, even some small hail to develop. We're not expecting any tornadic activity, and that's a fortunate thing with this forecast. Now that's kind of round one, is that right along that frontal boundary, but then we have this extra development that's going to be happening mid-morning on our Saturday. This, of course, trying to strengthen as we head into that late morning and early afternoon. So we'll be monitoring this behind the scenes for any of that severe potential, and of course letting you know everything you need to know and getting a better idea of this over the next 24 hours. So every model run counts, and every model run helps us get a better idea on that timing and those impacts. But as of right now, gusty winds as well as some large hail, the main things we're watching with this frontal boundary, as well as some much needed rainfall. But we'll take that. That's not a bad part of our forecast. That's the one blessing that we'll take with this. And then in that extended forecast, I said one blessing, there's actually another blessing, and that'll be cooler temperatures. Moving in as early as Saturday afternoon, going to be dropping those temperatures significantly. So not overwhelming for your tailgating forecast, looking good across North Mississippi and even there towards Tuscaloosa, especially as those drier conditions kick in as a result. High temperatures, here you see just how cool it'll be. Upper 70s for the northwest counties, Oxford, Marshall County, and Union County. The further southeast you go, of course, temperatures warming up. 83 Houston, 86 Starkville, and 89 down around Noxubee County and Pickens County. Those heat indices right around that same mark, so it is still going to be that drier forecast. So that is a good thing with our forecast, is we can enjoy some of that drier air despite it being those hot conditions over the next couple of days. Ole Miss versus Kentucky, taking them on in Lexington. So traveling north, trying to escape the heat. Well, you did exactly that. 64 degrees by the first play, 67 by halftime, and 64 towards the final snap. You might notice game time, middle of the afternoon. So the fact that we're talking upper 60s, that is not a bad forecast whatsoever. Now all we need is a Rebel win, of course. Right, Caleb?
I wouldn't go that.
Oh, man. Okay. His Starkville roots are showing. But as we look at the other forecast around the region, Caleb, you're going to like this one because it is your Bulldogs, of course, taking on Arizona State. So that is going to be a phenomenal game. 79 for the first place, 70 by halftime, and 67 by the final snap. You might notice a few of those lingering rain chances in the process. I'm not expecting it to be a washout of any magnitude, but it is going to at least produce maybe one brief isolated shower throughout the game. So make sure to have that rain gear just in case, but hopefully we stay void of this as that 10%, not very high in that confidence for that rainfall, but still should be a great game, a ranked matchup, or at least one of the teams ranked, but if State wins, you never know. And then Alabama looking for a bounce-back game against Louisiana Monroe, that down in Tuscaloosa. You see some more rain chances sticking around compared to what we were getting in Starkville. I know that's about 3 counties away, but it's the fact of the front, the movement of the front. That's what we're paying attention to. And so, of course, Alabama going to be closer around 645 to that frontal boundary, meaning those rain chances are slightly increased. Not expecting washout again, but at least maybe a pop-up shower or two as we head about our afternoon forecast for that tailgate or for whatever plans you may have down there around Bryant-Denny. 69 degrees around 7, 92 by noon, and 96, of course, the hot temperatures for our Friday afternoon. Isolated chances do linger in that forecast late into those overnight hours. So that is what we're watching in that extended forecast. And I want to explain these rain chances because it might be a little bit misleading there for your 40% on Saturday. This is going to be this threshold right here. What does that mean? Friday night into Saturday morning. Beyond Saturday morning, we're drying up pretty significantly. So that 40% just for the first half of the day before much drier conditions prevail behind the front. And beyond that, I mean, look at how dry that forecast is. So it's almost a scary sight looking at that drought monitor and how it got worse today, because come next Thursday, with all this drier air, it's only going to get worse from here. So make sure to water those plants beyond that Saturday forecast, and of course keep everything hydrated, because it will be, as someone told me one day, a crunchy forecast going forward. What we'll be tracking here at Mississippi Live Weather at 6 in a couple of minutes is that severe weather threat for our Friday. Just what to expect with that threat, and we'll be walking through in detail a little bit more on that timing here in just a moment. So keep it here with Mississippi Live Weather for the very latest.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Laupon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Laupon has proven himself trustworthy.
Visualize perfection, freshly picked ingredients, tantalizing flavors, sweet and sour intertwine, and dance into your glass. One-of-a-kind arrangements, hitting every note. Why wait for the weekend? It's on at the grill.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
Well, welcome back into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. What we're going to be discussing right now is that severe weather potential heading over the next 48 hours. This, a look at the severe weather risk for our Thursday. You can see that level 1 risk in effect for Knoxville all the way up into the D.C. area. I mean, you can see that extending all the way into the northern New York. So this is a very large level 1 risk, but you might notice that down here in North Mississippi, we were originally included talking about that far northeast section, but after looking at a few of these latest model outputs, and I'm glad they did, because I would agree, they pulled that risk back there towards the Tullahoma, Winchester, Tennessee area. I mean, whenever we talk about distance from the nearest area here in North Mississippi, we're talking down in Russellville, and that's about 60 miles. So we have not seen any severe weather here today, but up there towards the northeast definitely showed some severe potential as strong storms circulated through the area. Actually got a tornado warning as a result of some of those strong storms. But here's a look at our forecast for our Friday. And we do have that level 1 threat in place for North Mississippi, with that level 2 threat further up there towards Nashville, Lexington, and Bowling Green. So that's really the threshold that we're watching for the strongest storms. But the fact that our area is covered a good bit there towards North Mississippi, I mean, we are talking about potential for some damaging winds and large hail, that extending all the way south there towards Grenada, Bruce, Calhoun City, all the way there towards Houston, and then moving there towards the north side of Monroe County around Smithville. So we're watching that in detail for some severe weather, talking about right along that frontal boundary, and that, of course, bringing some gusty winds and large hail. As we look at those individual risk areas, that damaging wind threat, of course, our primary thing we're watching in that extended forecast, talking about Friday night, yes, night, going overnight into our Saturday morning. But that best threat will be on the top end of that cold front that's going to be bringing some more of those gusty winds up there towards Lexington. That large hail risk is still in that threshold just a bit, but it's only a level 1 threat. So that's really where we're watching it. But we're hopeful that the amount of storms, this has to do with the number of reports. So as long as the number of reports stay low, that's really what that level 1 risk is for. Not expecting many, but the potential is there for at least a couple of reports for large hail and gusty winds. Tornado threat, fortunately for us, we are not expecting any tornadic weather. A lot of that remaining up there towards Bowling Green and Lexington. So for us, it's the wind, it's the hail, it's the heavy rainfall, but it will be happening while we're asleep. So all the more reason to have Weather Call, all the more reason to have the Mississippi Live Weather app, all the more reason to just stay informed in that extended forecast for the potential of some strong storms. Because, of course, we'll be sleeping, and I know that we want to get our sleep heading into the weekend. It's unfortunate timing, but we can stay safe in the process and have those alerts on, turn your ringer on, and if it wakes you up, I'm sorry, but at least it's keeping you safe. So let's look at that extended forecast. This, of course, heading into your Friday evening. We can see that dip just a bit. I'm going to explain some meteorological factors here for a second. So What we have is a low pressure center that's up there towards the Great Lakes, just on the north side there towards Canada. What this does is it wraps around this cold front that we're seeing there towards the Arkansas area, there towards St. Louis, that leading edge right there, all the way wrapping around there towards that low pressure center towards Michigan. Yes, it is that large. But as we extend this out just a bit, we can see how that front starts to push more into North Mississippi. You see those tighter pressure gradients, that of course getting more into North Mississippi, and that's where we're getting some elevated chances of showers and storms. This, of course, 2:47 a.m. on your Saturday. So that's where we're seeing those first rounds of storms start to move into the area. Well, then we transition more into that morning threat. This is going to be Saturday around 7 and 8 a.m. That front really starting to protrude a bit more there towards Mississippi and Alabama. That's bringing our next threat for some of those strong storms. And as we can see with this, basically a neutrally tilted trough, which we usually expect severe weather with a negatively tilted trough, more in this orientation right here, but since we're getting it straight down, that shows a neutrally tilted trough, and that still could produce some damaging winds. Just kind of imagine if it was a negatively tilted trough, how things would be changed. So there's almost a light in this situation that we could be looking to. But into that extended forecast and beyond that forecast, we can see that what's building behind it is a ridge that's starting to develop. That ridge has drier air associated with it, usually a high pressure center, and that's going to keep us dry into that extended forecast once that front fully clears. And we can see, I mean, by the time we're talking 6 p.m. on your Saturday, that front really going to be there towards eastern Alabama and well up the Atlantic coast, way away from North Mississippi, and much drier and calmer conditions beyond that point. So this is what we're watching, and you can see a lot of that action. I mean, that vorticity, those yellows and reds that are showing up, that's going to be where a lot of that vertical development takes place to at least have some lift in the atmosphere, and that, of course, providing some strong storms as well. That happening in the heart of the storm, but some of those chances trickling along that cold front as we saw a moment ago, and that's what we'll be watching in that extended forecast, as this is we've not had a severe weather threat in quite a while, so it's better to stay informed whenever it comes to these situations. Tonight, 83 around 7, 76 towards 10, and 72 by 1. A calm forecast for now, so let's enjoy it. Let's get out and about and take in this forecast while we can. And don't get me wrong, Friday Night Football is going to be superb for a lot of locations. It's a matter of if those players can wrap up those games pretty quickly. Hey, run the ball so the clock keeps running, and then we'll all be heading home with dry conditions awaiting the overnight storms. We're walking through those storms in more detail tonight at 10 in our latest broadcast. Make sure to tune in then. We'll have the latest model runs and walk through that forecast in more detail on when to expect those showers and storms. And of course, I mentioned the app. Make sure to download it, not only to stay tuned with those streams, but also to stay tuned on that severe weather. It'll let you know alerts if lightning is nearby, if rainfall is nearby. You can modify those alerts to receive certain alerts that you want, whether it's just severe weather. Of course, you can do that yourself. Modify it to how you want it to be formatted. So we appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. And of course, download that app before the severe weather, potential severe weather pushes in Friday night. There is still time to do so and time to stay safe. Next broadcast coming up tonight at 10 p.m. on Mississippi Live Weather, and we'll see you guys back here in the Room to Room Weather Center later on this evening. Well, you guys have a great evening. We'll see you then.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.